All right, so we are picking up Perek Chaf Beis, chapter 22, the bottom of page Reish Chaf Vav. So remember again, we're speaking regarding the Midah of Anava, and specifically focusing on the idea that a person should never become arrogant as a result of the gifts or of the talents or of the kochos or of the abilities that an individual has. So if you remember again, that Ramchal gave the example that the same way that the bird does not become arrogant as a result of its ability to fly, because its ability to fly is just innate to who and what it is. So a person must also be careful to never chas v'shalom become a Baal Gaiva, arrogant as a result ultimately again of kochos, of abilities that he has. So he explains, for example, Kein Mishu Chacham, if someone is wise, Hu lefi top of Reish Chav Zayin, Hu lefi shetiv'o mevio lezeh. So the important thing to remember about wisdom is wisdom often is not something that you develop yourself. Right? We know that there are some people who are more intellectually acute and astute, and some people who are less. The truth is, very often, wisdom and the way we relate and our intellect is very often a function of our God-given set of gifts and abilities. It's a teva. Now, of course, to be clear, like many things in life, you receive something as part of your teva, as part of your nature, and then it is up to you to figure out how to use it. But lemais, at the end of the day, a person may acquire knowledge, but the ability of how you process and how you think and how you analyze information, that's very much part of the teva, of the nature that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given you. Ve'ilu oso she'achshav eino chacham kamahu. So think about this for just a moment. Let's say I hold myself out to be a chacham. The person says, I'm a chacham, and I meet someone else who's not such a chacham. So I say to myself, I'm better than that person. So Ramchal says, think about it this way. Ve'ilu oso she'achshav eino chacham kamahu. Hayu lo seichel tiv'i kamahu. If the person who's not as smart as I am were given the intellect that I have, that person would be just as smart as me. So I'll say, what does this mean? Sounds like a strange statement. Yeah, and if the person if Ruvain's wealthy and I'm not, and if I had Ruvain's wealth, I would also be wealthy. And indeed, that's what the Ramchal is going to say. That at the end of the day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us brachos. Those brachos are divinely bestowed upon us. And had it been bestowed upon someone else, it would have been someone else who's the chacham, or someone else who is the usher, someone else who's wealthy. Therefore, a person should never chas v'shalom use his brachos in order to feel superior or above anyone else. Because at the end of the day, so many of the brachos we have in life, it's not because of something I did, something I earned, or somehow, some way in which I excelled. It's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to me. And therefore that can never be used as a way of somehow lording over someone else. Ella im yesh bo chachma rabba. So what does one do if one indeed has great wisdom? Hinehu mechuyav lelamda lemi shetzarech eleha. It's incredible. So if you have great chachma, what a person has to learn to do is to use it to better and to teach the other. Ukimama Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, im lamara Torah harbe, like Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says in Pirkei Avos, if you learned a lot of Torah, al tachzik tova li'atzmecha. Do not spend your time giving yourself a shkoyach. Do not use that to go out and think greatly or grandly of yourself. Ki lekach nosarta. For that is what you were created to do. So in other words, what the Ramchal is teaching us, what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai is teaching us, is when a person has a particular bracha, and let's say I see someone else who doesn't have that bracha, so human nature often assumes that if I have something and you don't have something, it must be that I'm better than you. And then Ramchal says that what Chazal are teaching us is that that's not the case. If I have something and you don't have something, that's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to give me something and not give it to you. Why? That's part of the cheshbonos and the chachmas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But once I do have it and you don't have it, then under those circumstances, I am obligated to take that which I have and somehow use it for the benefit and the betterment of you. So im lamarat the Torah harbe. So again, if you went ahead and you learned a lot of Torah, so remember the way the Gemara is, so the way that Ramchal is darshaning. So we say al tachzik tov la'atzmecha, don't give yourself a shkoyach. But the truth is, the way that the Mishnah could also be understood is in a very profound way. Im lamarat the Torah harbe. If you're very wise and you have intellect and you're exceptionally wise and therefore you've accumulated a lot of knowledge, al tachzik tova li'atzmecha. Don't hold that good just for yourself. Don't retain that Torah just for you. Don't keep that wisdom lodged in your head and in your heart, but rather share it with someone else. Ki lekach notzart. For that is why you were created. If I have a bracha and someone else doesn't have that bracha, that's not because I'm better than that person, superior to that person, more worthy than that person. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives me that bracha because he's telling me that he believes in my ability to convey and to share that bracha with others. He goes on, he says, Im ashiru, if a person is wealthy, yismach bechalko, a person should rejoice in his wealth. A person should feel incredibly privileged that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has bestowed wealth upon him. And therefore, what do you do? Same idea. What do you do with your bracha? Va'alav hu la'azor lo l'mi she'en lo. And therefore, it becomes my obligation to help others who do not have. Im gibar hu alav la'azor la'koshlim u'la'hatzil la'ashukim. Ultimately, again, so you begin to see this model. So remember, again, I'll say, we're learning here the midah of Anava, the midah of humility. And the reason sometimes why people become arrogant and therefore not humble is because of our blessings. That I assume that sometimes my blessings mean that I am superior or better than someone else. And in fact, Ramchal is teaching us now that that is not the case. That at the end of the day, my brachos are a mechayiv. My brachos obligate me to be there and to do ultimately for the other. So if you have wisdom, al tachzik tov la'atzmecha, don't hold it for yourself, share it. If you have wealth, it's not just for you. Of course, it's for you to enjoy, to have a nice life, but it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu made you the custodian of that blessing, to be able to give it to someone else. Remember, the rich person is no more deserving or no more pious than the poor person. It's just that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows that the rich person has the ability, the resources, and the strength to take that which is his and to actively share it with others. He goes on, if a person is strong, im gibarhu, alav la'azra la'koshlim u'lahatzil la'ashukim. If a person is strong, he has to help the weaker ones. He has to help the weaker ones. So I'll say anything you have in life, your brachos are there ultimately to allow you to go ahead and benefit the others and never chas shalom to feel superior to anyone else. Ha lemazedoma. To what can this be compared? The misharse habayis, to people who work in a home together, servants who work in a home together. Shekol echad memuna al dvarma, ve'ra'oi lo lamor b'mishmarto lefi pekudaso lahashlim melechas habayis utzracheha, ve'ein kan makom legaiva lefi ha'emes. And I will say the idea is we are all servants in the palace of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and every servant has a different responsibility. And every servant has a different station. No servant is any more important and less important, and the palace only runs efficiently if all of the servants do what they are supposed to do. So if the rich man goes ahead and shares his wealth, and the poor man accepts, and the wise man shares his knowledge, and the intellectually impoverished individual listens, then all of the servants are doing their part in the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and by definition there is no room to become arrogant, baligaiva, from the brachos that we possess. All right, so we'll stop